What's up, everybody? This is Warhawk Beyond 2040 in the house, bringing to you another edition of the Arrow Season 8 review series, where I will be reviewing the 8th and final season for the show. And this week's episode was episode 3, entitled Leap of Faith, which I have just finished watching. And I have to say, this season has got to be quite possibly the best season since season 5. I have really enjoyed this season a lot, even though we're like the 3rd episode in already. It has been an amazing season so far, and this week's episode absolutely kicked ass. And what I liked about this episode, it was like another callback to another season 3, and it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like a mixture of Indiana Jones with a bit of James Bond and a bit of Tomb Raider, and everything incorporated into one nice little package, and I absolutely loved it from start to finish. So this week's episode pretty much picks up from the end of last week's. This time we see Oliver is now in Nanda Parbat, where he's trying to learn more about who the Monitor actually is and what his actual intentions are regarding the impending crisis, and he runs into his sister Thea. Now this is the first time we've seen Thea, I believe since season 6, where she went on the run with Nyssa and Roy. We also learn that Roy is dealing with his own demons after he killed someone back in season 7, so it was really nice to see Willehond back with Stephen and Mel, and I really enjoyed this scene a lot with these two. Oliver fills Thea in on what the Monitor has seen. He basically tells her that I've made a deal with a cosmic being and he's here to collect, and he's seen my future and he sees me die, basically. And Thea, of course, says, well, you've cheated death many times before, why should this be any different? And Oliver, of course, says, well, this is much bigger than me and you. This is the entire universe is at stake. So Oliver fills her in on what's going on, and they are trying to retrieve a book which has all information on the Monitor, and they're ambushed by Athena, who is an enemy of the League of Assassins, and they run into Talia. Now Talia, the last time we saw her was season 7, where she was trying to help break Oliver out of prison. So it was really nice to see Talia back. I'm not going to lie, I did miss Nyssa, because, you know, I really love Katrina Law. Not just because she's hot, but she's awesome as Nyssa, and she was really missed a lot in this episode. I'm hoping that we'll get to see her at some point before this season finishes for good. So we got to see Talia, Oliver and Thea working together to try and find this book, and they find this book, and it looks like the Monitor is actually causing the crisis rather than trying to help prevent it. Boy oh boy, they are in for a real shock when we hit the crossover. That's all I've got to say. One of my favourite moments in this episode was when they were trying to retrieve the book, and it had all these booby traps like darts and flames bursting out. It really reminded me a lot of Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider, so I thought that was a really fun scene. Kind of felt like a little bit like a movie. This whole episode felt like a little mini movie, which was really cool. I'm really glad to see they're embracing a little bit of the cinematic scale, so that was really cool to see. Also in this episode we got yet another flash forward from Star City 2040. We learn that the reason why JJ, who is the new Deathstroke, he is after William because he is part of the Star City movement unification. So the team learn that there is a list compiled of all of the people involved. So that was okay. As I said last week, you know, the flash forward scenes, they're okay, but I don't really think they add a lot to the story that's currently going on in this season. I mean, I'm sure at some point we'll see all the dots together and all the pieces of the puzzle come together as one. But honestly, I don't really connect with the flash forward scenes. They don't really do a lot for me. I mean, William, he pretty much is the weak link of the team. I mean, no disrespect to him, he's a genius, but I don't know really, he feels like a male Felicity Smoke. I mean, at least Felicity got her hands dirty. I mean, she kicked a bit of ass in the show, but William, I don't know really, he always good for is just hiding away while the others do their thing. So I don't really feel William adds a lot to the team really. I personally think the two best fighters of the team is Mia and Connor, because I think they're awesome. I think they're the best fighters of the team. Zoe, she's okay. I think she adds a bit more value to the team than William. William, I think, is just a bit of an idiot, if you ask me. But that's just me. Maybe some of you guys like William, but I don't dislike William, but I just don't care much for him. Then we get another scene. This time we're back in Hong Kong again, and we learn that John Diggle is brought in by Lila Michaels, who is secretly Harbinger and working with the Monitor. Diggle obviously doesn't know that yet, but he probably will find out at some point in the near future before this season wraps up. So we learn in this scene that a criminal named Abdul Nadok has kidnapped a mother and her son, and the son is none other than Connor Hawke, who we all know is going to be adopted by Diggle in the future. So they've been abducted, so Diggle and Lila go undercover to try and find out the whereabouts of Connor Hawke and his mum. Now this scene reminded me a lot of I don't know really, it reminded me a lot of Mr. and Mrs. Smith / James Bond. Like, they're both undercover, they're both dancing at the ball, and they're all dressed up nice. So that was quite a lot of fun. There was a lot of suave and sophistication with these two. Diggle and Lila definitely reminded me more of Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, rather than working separately on different missions. They're actually working together on one single mission, so that was quite cool. I'm not going to lie, there was a line that Lila said where she said to Diggle, "Oh, don't worry, I've got you a new suit." I know that didn't happen, but the geek in me, I did have a tiny bit of a geek moment. I thought, oh, Green Lantern suit, anyone? But obviously too early for that. Not too early, a little bit early. So I did get a little bit excited. All it was just a new suit and tie, which was okay, but I'm not going to lie, I had a little tiny geek out moment. I thought, oh, Green Lantern? Now? Nah. Too early. So yeah, one tiny little geek moment there. One other thing I wanted to point out in this episode, I am really impressed with how much Willa Holland has matured. Not only as a person, but as an actress. I mean, she's come a long way from season 1 of Arrow all the way to season 8 of episode 3. And Thea Queen, I didn't really care much for her. She always came across to me as very bratty and annoying, and I didn't really care much for Willa Holland. I mean, she's not bad looking, but I didn't dislike her, but I didn't like her. It was just nothing to me. But looking back at everything that's happened and how far we've come all the way to now, she has really, really grown up, not just as a person, but as an actress. And the scene that she had with Talia, who was played by Lexa Dodge, I thought was quite possibly her best scene. I mean, she really kicked some ass. I mean, that was the scene where Thea challenged Talia to a duel, and they had a big sword fight, and it was probably Willa Holland's best scene I think I've ever seen her participate. I mean, she really took it, and she really brought it all, and I was absolutely blown away. I thought, wow, we've really come a long way from episode 1, season 1. We've really come far, and she really shined, not just in this scene, but she really shined in this episode a lot. So props to Willa Holland. You know, she was awesome, and I'm not going to lie, Lexa Doge looked quite sexy in black leather. But then that's just me. I'm leather fetish for certain chicks. But aside from that, it was a great scene with them two, and I think that was probably one of the best scenes, if not my favourite scene in the entire episode. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. So mega props to both of those tremendous ladies. They did a fantastic job. So we get another scene, this time with pretty much seeing Talia leaving, and Talia says that the sword is yours, you are daughter of Merlin, and you are destined to lead the League of Shadows. Thea obviously says no. Why do we need to lead a League of Assassins? How about a League of Heroes? So, who knows? Maybe we could see this quote-unquote League of Heroes join the battle of the multiverse for the Crisis crossover. Who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see. But when Oliver said goodbye to Thea, you could really feel the emotion in this scene, especially on Stephen Amell's face. He looked like he was ready to burst into tears at any given moment, and I really felt that. And you know, 3 episodes down, 7 more to go. I mean, it's getting near. Slowly, as each episode is coming, we're getting closer and closer to the inevitable ending. And mega props to Stephen Amell. I mean, top acting from him, and he really knows how to sell emotion better than I can ever remember him seeing. And I really felt it in this scene. It was quite an emotional moment between these two. So yeah, I felt that. I really did. I mean, Smallville's had 10 seasons. I think Supernatural's 14 seasons. So very few shows get to have long runs. I mean, as we said already, Arrow's now on its 8th and final season. So yeah, it's going to be really hard to say goodbye when the time comes. But in the meantime, let's just sit back and continue enjoying this, what's been so far a fantastic ride. Then we get another scene where Diggle and Lila have rescued Connor Hawke and his mother, and it was a very touching scene, you know, where you see little Connor calling John Diggle Mr. Diggles, so that was quite a cute little scene. And we obviously know that Connor Hawke will be adopted by John Diggle, as we've seen in the future, so that was a nice little scene. And Diggle has a little emotional moment with Lila saying, I had to watch an entire universe disappear before my very eyes, and it was tough for me. And Lila of course says, well, no matter what happens, just let's enjoy the time we have together, and you enjoy the time with the people you love the most, because you never know when it could be over. So that was quite a nice moment. Also, in this scene, we got to see another flash forward with Mia and the others go after the Deathstroke gang, and JJ stabs Zoe with his sword. And to be honest, really, I didn't really expect Zoe to die. I mean, I thought she was going to stick by them right to the very end, so to see her get stabbed was quite shocking. I mean, I wasn't really expecting that. And Connor Hawke goes after JJ, and they go at it in a very brutal and bloody exchange. And something very strange happens. There's this flash of bright white light, and everybody disappears, and we get a final shot where we see Renee, Dinah, Diggle and Oliver back in the Arrow bunker, and they're asking, what's going on, Oliver? You know, what happened? And wait for it, they turn round and they see Mia, William and Connor Hawke in the bunker with them, and Mia says, Dad, and that's how the episode ends. And boy, What a way to end this episode. Wow. So, what does this mean for next week's episode? Does this mean that the flash forwards, does this bring everything all together? Lots of questions going to be answered next week. But one other thing I did notice in this episode, JJ, who is the new current Deathstroke, was also teleported. So it is highly likely we are going to see Diggle, Connor and JJ in the same room, and that is going to be explosive to say the least, and I can't wait. So what does this mean? So Mia has finally seen her dad face to face. Who knows? Does this mean they're going to work together for the upcoming crisis? I don't know what to say really. Lots of questions, as I said already, are going to be answered next week and in the upcoming episodes. Boy, what an ending. Really took me by surprise. So there you have it, guys. Overall, top-notch episode. Really enjoyed this, start to finish. This has been an amazing season, and I cannot wait for next week's episode. And next week's episode is going to be called Present Tense, so that's obviously going to be a nod to what just happened in this week's ending of the episode. So, what did you think of episode 3? Did you think it was good? Did you have any favourite moments? What are you looking forward to most for next week's episode? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you all next time. So till then, take care everybody.